see one of their dads go up to my dad and be like, hey, take your kids and go. Like, y'all need to go, like, right now and go home and don't come back over here for like a week. That day, everything changed. It wasn't this perfect rose-colored life that I thought it was. It was actually this fake painted time. I broke up my family. I had news that I had to tell my mother, and my father did something I never thought.
Is your mother and father like?
Yeah.
That must be so interesting.
I know. So my dad is actually a very, he was a crazy creative. So I do a lot of things, but he did everything and more. And he did it before we had all the extra stuff and all the technology that we had. Like, he was a graphic designer. He did, he was a producer. He was a mixing master. He did, what are those called? Airbrushing styles, like back in the day. Breakdance, like party promoter, DJ, like so many things. And he did it on such a high level, on such a really, really, really high creative level. And in San Bernardino, when there was nothing, people they don't know. No, they don't. You know, like, and he was learning this stuff like just easy. Like, and like when Adobe Photoshop first came out, he was like, he made so many like business cards, like people's first business cards. Like, half the people I know in San Bernardino that like started businesses back then, he was the one that made the business cards. And it was
so he's like kind of like this Renaissance man in general
exactly
sense, being able to kind of just be able to adapt to the situations that it need be.
Exactly.
That's awesome.
Exactly. Yeah, he was amazing. Musically inclined too, completely. I mean, obviously with all the
For sure.
all the music in there, so really awesome. My mother, she is this just really beautiful, strong woman that has really endured so much and still has been able to stand up tall and be like, you know, I got this. And I'm so grateful to have seen that, because it helped me go through the things that I went through, and be strong in that, because I've seen it up close and personal, you know. So both my parents together, they were really big San Bernardino people in general. So getting together, it was like, you know, everybody knew who they were and stuff. So it's really cool.
The big community focus.
Yeah, exactly.
Yo, okay. And so when you were born in San Bernardino, right?
Yeah.
And raised throughout that time?
Yes.
Can you describe kind of the childhood, like before you got to school? Do you remember any of that?
I remember.
For me, it's hard. So.
Yeah, you know, honestly, I remember that being like a really good time in life. Like, I remember just a lot of joy, a lot of creativity, a lot of trips, a lot of, like, even when I look back on pictures, it was like this perfect family. You know, it was like this mom, dad, me, my little brother, and that was, you know, you hear it on the radio and they'd be like, oh, Disney trip for 4, you know what I mean? And it was just like, that's how I kind of pictured it. It was like this perfect, you know, family life that we were able to kind of like have,
sure.
You know, so it was really cool. But San Bernardino is still San Bernardino, so it was like, you know, we were the part of the family that was able to have those little pieces of joy. But I mean, I definitely was, all of my family, most of them are from San Bernardino, and I've seen so many different kinds of lifestyles and them play out. So I was very fortunate to have the kind of the beginning pieces of my life in that way.
Yeah,
so.
It's very positive. So
Exactly.
I'm curious here, because obviously as your child, you see a lot, you're absorbing a lot.
Yeah.
A lot of our community is probably from the San Bernardino and the Empire area.
Yeah.
So it's been not the easy journey for people out in San Bernardino County.
Yeah.
So I'm curious on like kind of that experience for you. Were you like really just focused on the kind of like your own family, mom, brother, or is it more like you were seeing the extended family, interacting with them on a daily basis, kind of seeing the life of theirs growing as well? Yeah,
definitely interacting with them a lot. I have my clan of cousins, my clan of friends, my, you know, the people that we all, because my father and my mother knew so many people. We have a lot of extended cousins and family people, you know, who aren't blood, but it's our tribe, it's our people that we've been around and grew up with. And it's definitely. But San Bernardino is, man, it's tough, because I'm the kind of person that really watches things and takes them in and understands the feelings of the things that happen. So I was able to really absorb a lot of different kinds of lives and perspectives and choices that people make. And my dad and my mother grew up in the hood, so it wasn't like they had like the best foundation, and they created something for me and my brother and for our family. But I mean, going out, I remember specifically times where my dad, he wasn't a gangster or anything, but he knew everybody.
Of course,
so they all exactly, and he grew up on the block, but he was the artist, he was the creative, and people really protected him for that.
Sure.
And I just remember a lot of times being on the west side and hanging out with some of the kids and stuff, and then I see one of their dads go up to my dad and be like, hey, take your kids and go. Like, y'all need to go like right now and go home and don't come back over here for like a week, and I remember distinctively seeing things like that. And I just remember knowing that there's love, but it's just in different forms, and but you never know, because you might hear somebody's going that night, and you understand that this is a lifestyle, and you kind of just try to be smart and move the right way.
Sure. It's one of the things that I find, like, when you're going through, especially early in your life, and you're going through, there's you get attached, right? That's the main thing as a kid. You just want to kind of like explore, and you want to just be free, and you have no fear, because what is there to fear? Like, like,
we're out here, we're outside,
we're alive. Like, what's going on? Why is everyone so
right?
So did this kind of like really affect you, seeing like the troubles of being kind of like, I don't want to say sheltered in a way, but like being protected in these spaces? Did you kind of feel like as you were getting older, getting into like school, is that when you started really realizing like because I imagine I don't know if you're more of a family oriented person or more of a friendship person, or maybe a mixture of both, but I'm really curious what kind of like that elementary school, middle school life, and seeing I don't know where you went to school, but that dynamic.
So I went to school at Rio Vista Elementary. I love that school. But it's in the hood. It's in like the Delman Heights area of San Bernardino, and so I remember my mom went there when she was a kid. So she wanted us to go there, and that was like a whole thing. And when we went there, I just remember like as much as like we have like a cool foundation, like our life is still immersed in this dark cloud of whatever happens over in San Bernardino. You know what I mean? So we were able to. I was in school, but I seen crazy shit at school. Like, things would happen. I just remember, like, there would be days where certain stuff will happen, and I think I would just kind of go numb. Like, I was just like, okay, like, I'm protected. Like, I always knew, I don't know why, like, since I was a kid, I always knew I was protected in some kind of way.
By who? By what? Oh,
over the years, I felt safe. Like, over the years now, I definitely am understanding what kind of spiritual guides and ancestors I have around me that are protecting me, as well as just knowing that you are protected because of nature, because of God, because of whatever God we believe in, or whatever the case may be. I feel like in whatever we believe in, there's like a return of protection with it. So I've always kind of felt the root of that, and when things would happen, I've seen a lot of crazy stuff, but I was also like, okay, well, just make sure that you're good. Like, you gonna be good, and you're gonna move accordingly and do what you can for others, and if you move like that, then you'll always be in a good space. So
this is interesting. So what it feels as if like, this is, I'm starting to get interested now.
Yeah.
Your childhood space, right? What is your communication like? Who do you talk to? Who do you kind of like open up with? Do you have any of that resource?
I think I had friends. I had friends for sure. Like growing up, I had a lot of friends that I was able to be over their house and have those conversations with. But I think I kind of like, I don't ever think about this actually. So, but like going back, I felt like there were so many layers of me that I wasn't going to be able to understand at that young of an age. So I wasn't able to open up in the ways that I am now. So I had to learn that. And I feel like that's also like deep rooted in like cycles and, generational cycles and stuff like that. But
that's what I'm curious, because even describing some of the things that you're talking about, like describing like your, as you're growing through your ages, right? It's like a lot of things is happening around me, right?
Yeah.
But I don't know if I can explain them.
Yeah.
Right? Now, and I think that's interesting because anytime I find like when you go through life in journeys and you feel like you don't want to know if you want to share too much, especially about those times.
Yeah.
Because it has to do with others.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But those others have affected you as well.
Yeah.
You're like seeing things that are happening around you, and it's changing you.
Yeah.
Right. Whether it be small or minute.
Yeah.
But it's slowly forming you to become, who you are today.
Exactly.
Any key things maybe through your childhood you have experienced or explained? Or I think another good question is, you said you had a little brother.
Yeah.
Okay. And were you guys really close? Did you get to communicate with him about the things that you were seeing, and be able to kind of like discuss those things as you grow?
You know what? No, actually, me and him, we barely developed and grew our relationship the past like 5 years.
Oh, yeah.
So growing up, like we were around each other, but there was so much, I would say, like chaos and things that we couldn't fully understand, just like reacting to our environment, that we weren't able to like each other, if that makes sense. Like, or
how old's the difference in age?
2 years.
Oh, yo,
Yeah.
you guys are like,
Yeah. And we're both Leos too. So
you're like right next to each other. Too.
yeah, like our birthdays are right next to each other. And then like we're close in age too. So we've seen a lot of things together.
But you're not seeing the world differently from him.
No. But we learn differently because we're both different, if that makes sense. So we have different traits that we're taking from our mother and our father.
Can you explain that?
So I would say like
It's not a negative way.
Yeah,
Just-
yeah,
yes,
exactly.
just
No,
what it is.
absolutely. So like I have seen. There was a certain point in life where everything was all happy-go-lucky, everything was beautiful, everything was what it was, and then there was a certain situation that happened within the family that diminished that immediately. And it was so I have a little sister, but the little sister came outside of the marriage, and I was the one that found out. And I was the one that had to tell the parental situation. So that day, everything changed because it wasn't this perfect rose-colored life that I thought it was. It was actually this fake painted, whatever, like, oh yeah, this is what life, this filter is going to be the life that you're going to see through. And then that shit was ripped. And it was like, oh, this is real life. And real life showed the traits of, just non-accountability, complaining about things that already are, which is only feeding it into the cycle of traumatic experiences and chaos and things like that. And just not seeing people love themselves properly. Really giving themselves the real love that is needed in order to live instead of survive, because we were in a survival state,
So, can I ask how old that was?
I was 12 years old.
Yikes.
Yeah. That was kind of crazy.
Yikes.
It's kind of crazy.
That's really early.
Yeah.
And I guess the final question I have is, do you know how old your sister was at the time?
My sister was not born yet. She was actually in the
okay.
belly. And it was a crazy situation. It was real deep, but I'm not going to go too dark. But it was one of those situations where I've seen different perspectives of people and the way that they react in situations without love and growth and just wanting to be a better person. And it was just kind of like, I don't know, it was kind of weird. I
imagine so.
Yeah.
My parents are divorced, and one of the things I found was like really hard, right? Is that I was the only child. So you kind of saying like you have like you and your brother, and you mentioned there was this kind of department.
Yeah.
Right? You two were close at that point.
Yeah.
Right? Or am I wrong here?
Yeah. We were, me and my little brother.
Yeah. Right.
We were close. Close as in like we were living in the same house and we're seeing each other every day.
Okay.
But I would say like close, like the way we are now, nowhere near.
Okay.
Nowhere near.
Okay.
But the protection was there. The love was there. But again, at that time, none of us knew how to love ourselves properly because we weren't even getting examples of how to love ourselves.
So wait, you don't mind if I'm sticking here?
No, please.
I'm digging.
Go
I'm
ahead.
I'm a
Dig.
digger. So
Do your thing.
I'm curious here about like you and your personal kind of like relationship. I'm talking about prior to this all happening.
Yeah.
You mentioned that like again, that question I was asking, who are you communicating to? Were you like communicating with your father, your mother a lot, or was it like with your cousins? Like, is there someone you can like any key people that like you can I don't know during that kind of 1, 2, 3 years old to 12 years old? Is there any key people you're like these people like I was really close with?
Yeah, I have some cousins like my cousin Ashley, my cousin Davisha. Those are my older cousins that kind of I got to see and watch and grow with. And then I have like some of my friends, my like elementary, middle school friend, Asia, my best friend since I've known her since kindergarten. And that's one of my girls, but it's like, I have a few people like that. I have a homegirl named Juliana, Gigi, and she was also somebody that I, just shared so much life with and so much time with, especially when things started getting rocky too, because there was a point where things kind of fell apart. And so I have my people that were there growing up from up to 12. And then after everything started happening, I got really close to my friends because we ended up going through like losing the house and not having anywhere to stay and kind of just going from here and there and figuring things out. So I had friends that I would stay with for periods of time.
And that's obviously 12 is you're in middle school, right?
Yeah, you're going in, or you're middle school. Yeah, you're middle school.
You're in middle school.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I was in 7th grade. Yep, 7th grade. It was crazy. It was wild.
I understand now. Essentially, everything that you knew now is kind of like put in a whole spiral. Exactly. Can you describe your personality before and after? Like who is right now?
Right now is.
Before everything,
I mean, I feel like I was just a kid of the world, just happy, just wanted to be creative whenever I can and do anything that I wanted to do, but also very relentless, very, very rebellious. I don't like being told what to do. Definitely didn't like it then. Can deal with it now, but tactically. Sure. But it was I was very much just a free spirit. I've always been a free spirit, but back then it was just real free. real free.
So when that happened, right, and you see kind of like the I don't want to say like the broken promise, let's say that.
That's a good one. I like that.
What was reality like for Rain now?
Numb. Yeah, very much shut down. I was good. I was still happy. I'm still, hey, oh my God. But it was coping mechanism. It was easy to do that because I don't have to explain all the sad stuff going on in my life. And if I did, I can say it in a joking way, or we can it's cool. And I kind of just learned how to adapt in that kind of
way. I have a feeling. I'm like, there's something going on here, Sarah. I'm feeling something right now, Sarah. I'm telling you. So this is interesting, and I'm curious here because this is not this is not what you probably intended from this.
No, hey, we're here.
But my point was that it's kind of like an evolution.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
There's someone there's a philosophy I follow, right? Essentially, it's like who you are, the image that people see you.
Absolutely.
Right, and then who you are under stress. Because you're kind of like have this thing going on. Everything's cool, and then when you're put under stress, then I want to say the real you is exposed, but more of just like how you respond to that.
Exactly.
Right? And it seems as if you went from very like influential, super influential, whether it be absorbing the world, giving to the world.
Yeah.
And then you went to extremely steady.
Yeah.
And you became very like, I don't want to say conscientious, but maybe conscientious.
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know if you're in your head a lot or more if it was just like, hey, look.
Yeah.
Listen, guys. I'm still good. I'm still here, but I don't know who to trust now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is this like the dynamic
Absolutely. Now? Absolutely. Because I couldn't trust myself. I broke up a family. I like in my head at that time, I broke up my family. I had news that I had to tell my mother, and my father did something I never thought was a thing. And telling her, I know how my mom is. She was out. She was like, oh, I'm done. This is a wrap. I'm just like, oh, and I knew, and I held it in for like a week because I became a grown up. Like I became someone that had to deliver some kind of news and didn't know how to do it, who to do it to. I remember telling my mom, I had her drop me off at church. I used to go to church by myself because it was like my safe space at the time. My dad knew the pastors because he did all the graphic design and stuff for them and stuff. So I would go there, and I remembered her dropping me off, and I was like, hey, so, dad got a whole nother baby on the way, and the girl told me, and, it was like a whole thing. And, she was like, what? And kind of like, I seen everything kind of just like go in her brain. And I was like, all right, I'm gonna pray for y'all. And I just went to church because I knew there was nothing I could do after that. And that was a wrap. Family done. Everything's done. Like, everything's done. Life as I know it is over. So I couldn't trust myself in that perspective as a child at 12 years old, because like, why was I given this kind of information to be able to tear apart what I thought was real? So it's super deep, but that's kind of like where I was at the time. At least in retrospect, thinking about it now, it's like, okay, there was that. So I can be around people. I'm happy. We're all good. Everybody's having a good time. Of course, you have your sad moments and everything like that. But I was in survival mode. I was like, nah, I got to make sure I'm good, because I don't know if I'm gonna have somewhere to sleep tonight. I don't know where my dad is. I know my mom's working, but she kind of had to get herself together. Like she had to, and I didn't understand that till later. But it was one of those things where I was like, I'm alone, and I don't know where my brother is. My brother's wherever he can be at. So we both, we pulling up to friends' houses, and they're letting us stay there for weeks at a time. We're eating with them. Like I think about that kind of shit now, and I'm like, damn, like that's crazy. And I'm so blessed and protected because I've never had anything crazy like sexual abuse or any type of like things that can happen like that from being a young lady in anyone else's home ever happen. Because I really felt like God just really, or my ancestors, whoever had really, really, really came in and made sure that anywhere I went into, there was like a little bit of protection, and these families like cared for me. That's another head on the table, and yet I still ate. You know what I mean? So it was a crazy switch, but that switch, I felt like it just turned to survival mode. Be good, Ray. Be happy. Try not to make an inconvenience out of yourself, and let's survive another day. Let's get another day going.
So when you described this kind of two personalities, right?
Yeah.
You said one was very free and another one was kind of coping through this cycle.
Yeah.
I'm sorry I keep pushing this because I found it so hard, right?
Yeah.
Like you mentioned you had some people through elementary school that you could lean on.
Yeah.
You have some people you like. Friends seems like a big part. Family
Absolutely.
does as well. But you also have two very strong families, right?
Yeah.
Right? You have your father, your mother from your father's side. Grandfather and grandmother.
Yeah.
And you kind of have. You mentioned that your father from your father's side.
Yeah.
A grandfather from your father's side.
Yeah.
He has a ton of kids.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, do you kind of felt like your family was kind of like not just like immediate? Obviously, there's going to be disruption there, but you felt like your how extended family was treating you differently? Do you feel like their dynamic changes too?
There were definitely dynamic changes, but I feel like I never really looked at it and I never really acknowledged it. I just tried to move through it because family's family. So I'm just like, if anything negative is coming out of it, I don't want to add to the negativity. I just want to kind of move accordingly and, just accept it as what it is. And that's kind of how I move, because I'm like, I'm not going to hate you. I don't hate anyone really, so I'm not going to spend too much energy in, like, oh, all this stuff is happening, so I just kind of let that be. But I did have such great influences though that came in at just the nick of time. Like my uncle, very, 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 he taught me almost everything I needed to know about photography. And I was learning photography from high school. So I've been in the professional photography world for about like 13 years. And it's just, he's really, really given me that just knowledge and power. And it was something, is that me? I think that's me.
I was saying, I think it might be me. No. I thought I was thinking, Sarah, you're fine. I was thinking of me, like, oh shoot, my bad.
But yeah, no, he gave me so much knowledge, and he took me out of my environment. So it would be like, hey, I'm taking you on 4th of July, and I'm like, oh, okay. And he lives in Anaheim, and so big difference. And he's half white, half black. So different experience, whole different world. We're going to Disneyland. Okay, cool. All right, we could just go to Disneyland because that's what he used to work there and stuff. And his wife used to work there. My grandfather used to work there as well. So, Disney was like very heavily influenced and one of those places where, it was like happy. Okay, cool. I don't have to be in San Bernardino looking at, things or being at some other family's house that are just they're not doing things that are positive, or it's always an argument, or it's always someone getting mad or cops being caught or something, so I had a few people in my life that came in and swooped me up and was like, Ray, okay, let's get you in different environments and let's teach you things so you can have things that stay with you and be able to use those in the future, which I'm so grateful for now, especially like, man, now I'm like, I don't know what I would be doing if I didn't have those tools, it's crazy.
Your uncle, do you know why he was doing it? Did he ever talk to you about the reason why he would go and pull you from these certain areas or times, or he was just like, hey, you're young, just let's,
Oh, he loved me. He loves me. Like and I love him because it's like, it's one of those, he just cared. He's seen the light in me. He was so close to my dad, so close to my dad. And they grew up together and they started business together and did all the things. So they were really big. So it was a big deal to have me as like, a direct access to my father, because my father passed away. So once he passed away, my uncle, that was a big piece of him. So it was just like I think to keep the connection and keep that light that he seen in me, he didn't want me to lose that, being in San Bernardino and going through all the things that I had went through.